Hello everyone, welcome back to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 5th May 2021. In this video, we'll be looking at this couple of issues. The article titled An Issue of Lives versus Livelihoods is about the plight of migrant workers in the pandemic. If you take a look at our economy, almost 90% of the workers are in unorganized sector or informal sector. So, what do you understand by this? What do you infer from this fact? It means that there is no social security whatsoever. What happens if there is no social security? Imagine the situation of these workers when a lockdown is imposed. What kind of economic plight they might be facing in these times? It is unimaginable. Therefore, whenever there is a question of lockdown, what the government is thinking is this is a choice between lives, that is, saving lives in the pandemic, versus livelihoods. So we are in a peculiar situation where either of the choices will lead to unimaginable pain. What should the government do taking this forward? That is the central debate in this article. On one hand, we have the COVID 19 hitting India like a tsunami. The health infrastructure is crumbling under its own weight. The country is once again staring at the issue of this lives and livelihoods like it has faced the last year when there was a nationwide lockdown imposed on March 24th, 2020. In addressing this question, we have to fundamentally ask three questions to design a policy that is foolproof. Firstly, we have to understand where this migrant workers are and where are they going to. So mostly it is the Bimaru states or the erstwhile states which were considered to be extremely poor, and they continue to bear the brunt of this economic uh, plight. Say for example, we have migrants coming all the way from Bihar in states like Kerala, Karnataka, and sometimes even in states like Tamil Nadu, all the southern states. The reason is there is lack of opportunity in their home states. So the first question we have to ask is what are the employment opportunities for them at their native places? And the next question is what should be the role of government? How can the government help them? Last year, when the government was faced with the same question, they came up with the answer in the form of enhanced allocations to the Manrega, which is nothing but the right to work, which ensures 100 days of employment for skilled and unskilled workers also. So, is this a sort of a gainful employment in this time? Is this what the government can do? That is the question. Some surveys have actually conducted surveys to understand the plight of these workers who came back from cities. Say a worker from a place like Mumbai traveled back to his native place in Bihar. He was making around 15,000 rupees a month in a place like Mumbai, but after he went back to his native place, the amount reduced to a paltry 2,000 rupees. Even considering the cost of living in places like Mumbai, this is a very, very significant reduction in income, and they simply cannot sustain themselves with this kind of small incomes. Another question that we have to ask is looking at the data from last year, can we say that Manrega has actually helped the migrant population? So the answer is no, because if you take a look at the data, the increase in demand for Manrega works is just 5% in phase 1, and in phase 2 it is somewhere around 7.5%. This is simply not enough to meet the demand of the people who are coming back to these places. Another survey said that only 1.75% of the migrants who came back had this Jandan accounts. So that means even their financial inclusion aspect is under threat because all the government schemes are linked to bank accounts and Aadhaar now. That is another challenge that we have to understand. So all this shows that existing government programs cannot provide gainful employment opportunities to the migrants at their native place. This is the ground reality. It is already overcrowded. Engaging the returning migrants in building new agri value chains has certain potential to create productive employment. That is also what was discussed the other day almost last week in Indian Express by Dr. Ashok Gulati as well. So that is a very important suggestion, because if we take a look at the employment structure in rural areas, it is mostly dependent on rural uh, agrarian economy. So if we have to create any value addition, it should definitely be coming from food processing, and value addition in agriculture are one area where Dr. Ashok Gulati believes that it can add value. Anyway, coming back to the topic, this also brings to the notice one glaring issue of lack of social security for informal sector. So one more lesson that we can learn from this experience is that the government must force employers to ensure that the workers in informal sector have at least some level of social security. Also, this is not just a question of social security and welfare, it is a question of morals, because these workers contributed to the city economy. But what has the city given them in return when the time has come? This is the question we have to ask from an ethical perspective. Is it right to consider them just as resource in our economic development model, but not as human beings? Is the question that is being asked. Can we justify the situation uh, as a step to save lives, but at the same time we are also putting them not just under the burden of carrying an infection, but also we are also putting them under a threat of lack of livelihoods. That is what this article is trying to say. So the focus should be on social security going forward. At the same time, we also have to ensure gainful employment at grassroots levels. So that is the gist of this article. How does a concentrated help? We are talking about oxygen concentrators and the mechanism it functions. But let me also give you the overview about India's oxygen emergency. It is something that is related to logistics more than the actual deficiency of oxygen. There are only a very finite number of oxygen tankers and cylinders in our country. So the logistics of refilling them and bringing them to the destination is the bottleneck we are facing at this point of time. For understanding what this logistic issue is all about, we have to know how hospitals generally source their oxygen. Majorly, there are three ways. One, liquid oxygen tankers. This will work for large hospitals in big cities. Then we have oxygen cylinders, which is a solution for mid-scale hospitals. The third one is the concentrator, oxygen concentrator, where small hospitals can use them for personal use at home. Also, it is advised. It is on-site production and does not depend on third party once it is set up. So that is the reason why concentrators can help. But you have to understand how COVID functions. After a person is affected by COVID, it attacks his lungs. In atmosphere, we have 79% of nitrogen and 21% of oxygen. So our lungs filter the rest of the air and just take up oxygen. But when we are affected by COVID, the capacity to filter this air and increase the level of oxygen in our blood actually decreases. So it needs certain external help. That is why we would be gasping for breath and we require higher concentration of oxygen. So that is the meaning behind oxygen. So what you can actually visualize is, uh, let us imagine air to be like water. If you put a sponge ball in a water, what it will do is it will absorb all the air. But when you squeeze it, it will give you water out. So there are certain devices like concentrators which would act similarly to sponge. What they would do is they would absorb all the oxygen from outside atmosphere, and they would give or pump purified oxygen. Almost 85 to 90% pure oxygen is given to the patient, and it will reduce the load on the lungs. So this is how a concentrator works. But if you take a look at the other two mechanisms where cylinders and oxygen levels are considered, these are used for more serious patients where the blood level oxygen is falling down, the oxygen saturation I mean is falling down, and it is in 60s, 70s and 80s. So this concentrated would work for oxygen saturation ranging between 88 to 94. This is working in the present condition because of a lack of oxygen in hospitals. Concentrators are encouraged for patients who are taking care of themselves at home. But the present issue is more of logistics because we are not able to produce more and more amount of oxygen in our industries. Well, the discussion about oxygen logistics is beyond the scope of this article, but you just have to understand how concentrator works in this article. So there is a prelims pointer. You have to know that the concentration increases because of a material called zeolite. So this material, zeolite, separates nitrogen from oxygen, and there will be certain sieves. Imagine a sieve which can filter this oxygen, and these zeolite will actually do that job. This is one important prelims pointer. The problem now is there is a shortage of this zeolites as well to increase the production of oxygen concentrators. Recently, the government also reduced GST on oxygen concentrators for imports as well. Previously, it was 28%. It was brought down to 12% now. So this is the gist of the article, a very important prelims concept.